Hello there, this is Cindy at cindybdesigns.com. Thank you for joining me today. We are doing these two cards, and they are both from the new Nest of Winter Sweet Collection that's actually coming up in the Holiday 2024 catalog, and this is what it looks like. I know that we just had a new annual catalog release, but I couldn't resist, bringing this out a little bit early. Fantastic line art in this stamp set. It's not Christmas, it's you can say winter. I mean, that is the name of it, but if you look at that wreath up at top, you can color that any way, the birds, the sentiments, year round. It just depends on the colors that you want to use. And the colors in the Sweet Collection kind of give you a good choice to make that all work together. So this is a very large Sweet Collection. You have the stamp set, you have the dies, fabulous line art with the die cuts cutting out all those images there, not to mention a ton of standalone die cuts. That frame that I'm pointing out there, the two dies inside of it, and then the two pine leaves up there, or however you want to make them. Then you get a birchwood embossing folder. There's also designer series papers that coordinates with that really well, and we'll be using that on one of our cards today. And then this beautiful designer series paper. Now those dies, one of the bird ones or two of them, you can kind of wing it a little bit and get a partial die cut out of that piece of paper there. You might have to do some fussy cutting here and there, but you kind of wing it and make it all work out. So the colors in this Sweet Collection are basic black, blueberry bushel, cherry cobbler, coastal cabana. You're going to see me kind of like, wing the die cuts on that piece of paper a little bit. Copper clay, crumb cake, daffodil delight, garden green, granny apple green, gray granite, night of navy, pumpkin pie, real red, and shaded spruce. I mean, that is 14 different colors that is in this Sweet Collection. And like I said, it's a 5-piece Sweet Collection. And I'm not normally a big fan of birds, to be honest with you, or anything like that, but the potential that you can use for this, I mean, weddings, graduation, that great large wreath die cut I showed you at the beginning, like the half wreath, cut it out twice, color it twice, you have a full wreath there. I mean, just like I said, it could be Christmas, winter, any kind of holiday, depending on how you want to color that wreath. There's a lot of options to this one. So that one die cut with a bird is going to go well with that one bird there. And then we have the larger one that's going to cover the two birds. And I'm using both of those on both of our cards today. I didn't do any coloring or anything like that. But again, the options and the creative possibilities, very strong here. And I think it's something that you're going to enjoy. And to me, this is definitely a year-round stamp set or Sweet Collection. So as we're going through the Sweet Collection, there's a lot of geometrical patterns in this. And like I said, great colors. That's going to be on our second card. And the texture and the pattern that is just so, so cool. I love it. And then you have like some plant life coming here. Willows, very subtle colors. This is a great page for our scrapbookers. I'm not one of them. And then that is kind of like crumb cake and white bird's feet at the same time. It's just, you have to see it in person, see how it all goes together. Then we have some willows, and there is that piece of birchwood designer series paper I was talking about that we'll be using and run that through the birchwood embossing folder to just kind of texture that up a little bit. So moving along here, we are going to get into the embellishments. That is linen thread, not twine. Big difference. Twine is much thicker, and that is in copper clay, garden green, and night of navy for the twine. And then we have these earth tone shimmers, jewels with the crisscross pattern in them, and they are garden green, copper clay, beige, and ivory. So as you can see, this is a large Sweet Collection, and you'll be able to pick it up. I'm guessing first week of September or so. So now I'm going to show you the first card that we are going to be making with this. So for our first card, we have a Night of Navy card base, and I'm bringing in a piece of Coastal Cabana designer series paper from the Nest of Winter, from the Sweet, everything's from the Sweet collection. The only things I'm bringing in outside of it are the die cuts of Radiating Stitches, Hooray for Surprises, and tailor-made tags, and I'll let you know when I bring them in. But that piece is Coastal Cabana designer series paper from the Sweet collection, but it's not, it's a lighter shade of it rather than what you would see on a piece of cardstock, and it all works out. So this is where I've already die cut the Radiating Stitches, which is going to be our image panel from the designer series paper, and I'm popping on our sentiment of thinking of you always. I'm going to lay that down in Memento Tuxedo Black. Now, where I messed up was on the Stamparatus, which is no longer available because there was a patent issue, so I'm switching to a Misty. Um, I left the foam underneath it, but it still worked out, but be careful about that depending on what you use. And the other piece, and I'm taking that off to make sure it's even and everything up in the sunlight. And what you saw me do earlier was I cut another piece of basic white cardstock to go behind that. The designer series paper is thick enough to not have to load it up, but I'm just neurotic like that, and that's just how my mind works. And I end up gluing them together, not quite straight, or there's like an eighth of an inch hanging out, but it did work out, which you'll see coming up. And since I know I'm going to glue that real quick after, archival ink, I like to dry it off real quick to make sure it doesn't smear or anything like that. So I'm going to partially emboss that, running that through the Birchwood embossing folder and figuring out where I want it. And I'm going to, take that off to the side and go ahead and emboss it. And you're not going to see that on screen. But what I do want you to see is the new size of our embossing folders. They're like 6x8, and it's perfect for scrapbookers, larger products, junk journals, whatever you want to do. It's going to cover a slim card fold, all of that. So that's the partial embossing I did. And now I'm going to grab that Misty glue press and go ahead and adhere our image panel to the top of that. So as I'm putting all this together, because a lot of it from here on out is kind of like adhering everything, we have, or Stampin' Up! Has acquired bits and pieces and parts of Close to My Heart, which was a major, paper crafting company outside of us that mainly specialized in scrapbooking. So you're going to be seeing larger embossing folders like today, and ephemera like is what's coming up or is in the new annual catalog, and things like that to accommodate the scrapbooking base, but also at the same time with card makers. And it's all going to work out. It really is. And I think it's going to open up a lot of creative opportunities and doors, for people who prefer to make cards and junk journals and things like that. So right now with this, I'm kind of realizing, oh right, I did not adhere my image panel together completely straight, but with the stitches at the bottom, you can't even tell. It works out. I'm okay with it. So I'm taking Night of Navy linen thread. Baker's twine is thicker than linen thread, by the way. And I'm going to wrap this around twice. And this whole portion right here is going to be nothing but a comedy disaster because I've had a manicure for 3.5 weeks. It's been a little busy, and I can't tie a bow or do anything like that. So you're going to see me struggle with that a lot. But I think the fourth time was like a charm, though, after this one. But like I said, that gives me more opportunity to let you know about what's going on, what is coming up. And there's also, we have our new online exclusives coming out in July. And there's another great sweet collection coming up in that with bells That's definitely Christmas. It could also be wedding though, too, at the same time. And I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. So I got that, twine wrapped around there twice, or linen thread. I am popping on Stampin' Dimensionals onto the back of that, take off the backings, going to get that down in here, left to right, top to bottom, all center. And then do the same thing with the bird image after the bow disaster you see me try to get through. And then hopefully, make it from here on out. I mean, to me, with the line art images in this suite collection and what you see right there that I'm trying, the birds, the line art can be very interpretive, like those berries in the wreath design that I was talking about. Change the color, they can be pretty much anything and everything that you want them to be. Um, with the birds, think about just nothing but pink for a wedding card, or even, you know, something patriotic. I mean, like I said, there's a lot you can do here. And I find that easier to do with the line art images where it just makes it all happen for me. So you saw what I did about, gluing another piece of basic white cardstock to the DSP, lay down that image with Stampin' Dimensionals, and this is when the bow disaster comes up. And I did end up cutting out a lot of it because that would have been like another 4 minutes there. But this is one card that I just did not plan out, and I just turned the camera on. It's like, hope for the best kind of thing. So while you watch me struggle with this, let's talk about a lot of die cuts that I considered, basics that have retired this year, like the circle die cuts, stitch rectangles. I am keeping them on board, even though we did replace them with deckled rectangles and deckled circles. I want that variety of the straight circle or the stitch die cuts rather than everything just deckled. And that's why I'm keeping them on board. So that's why I cut out the 4 minutes. And I actually changed the bow out in the long run, as you saw at the very beginning. I'm kind of wondering, okay, how do I embellish this up? So I chose, I think, let me look, 3 large and 2 small of the garden green gems there. And I'm going to pop them on just to embellish. And that is what our card is going to look like. And again, I did fix that bow because that wasn't even working for me either. So for our next card coming up, I'm going to talk you through this rather than make it for you. But we are going to do the inside of this card first. So this is where I'm using the wreath of that, and I'm going to lay that down in, I think, either smoky slate or granite gray. I'm not sure yet. Because I did this like last week, and like I said, I hate doing voiceovers, so I don't remember half the stuff I've done and wing it. But I am going to stamp it off once because I want that to be lighter because, I mean, it's kind of a strong neutral a little bit. And I'm pressing that down really good and then get my second impression there. And then for the inside sentiment, I am going to put that down in Night of Navy. And if you look at the bottom of that, the much love part, that is going to be used on our next card. I'm just going to partial ink that to for the tags on the next card. So I'm going to put this down in Night of Navy, full strength, mat that onto a piece of Coastal Cabana cardstock, and then go ahead and get that adhered to the inside of the card. And then that's going to complete what the outside looks like. And I'm also going to be popping on some gems, but more about what I was talking about, the die cuts and things like that. Like I said, I'm keeping them because I need those basics on board personally for me. So, I mean, again, it's your personal choice. And I'm like a very current product purist kind of person, but right now, no. I'm using what I have that most people do have and consider staples and getting everything done that way. So I'm finally getting that down, and I will be able to talk you through the next card because, again, I didn't turn the camera on. This video is already getting kind of long for me anyway, But if you have any feedback and want to see more of the process, you know, shoot me off an email or leave a comment and let me know, because I don't know unless you tell me. I do get emails, but, I'd like to hear from more. So here we go with that on the inside. The first two layers I did liquid adhesive, and the third one I did for seal. Too much glue is too much glue, and it stacks up and it'll get all sticky, and just your card's gonna get all, you know, too thick and just gooey. So I did end up tearing off that bow, like I told you before, and turned it around to that. So for our next card coming up, I'm going to be using an A2 basic black card base, and I have two strips of glimmer paper on there of pumpkin pie and basic black. They're core colors. They always come back around, and I keep them on hand. And this time around, that's this, part of the much love sentiment, and I just fill that in with a basic black marker, and then laid it down on top of the tag, which are partially die cut. And then the edge of the sentiment there, I use that wreath stamp, or the half wreath. I forgot the formal name for that, swag or something, and stamp that on the end. That heart is from Hooray for Surprises, and I ran that through the birchwood embossing folder, and I had a little bit of brown ink left over on a blending brush, and I put that on top to lighten it or darken it up a little bit because it's kind of stark white, and then ran it through again the embossing folder. The bird is cut from the designer series paper, and embellished it with gems, and that is it. So I thank you for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed this process. If you have any questions, again, please shoot me off an email. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment, and have a great day. And I will see you again next week.